All right. Welcome. Good to see everybody. How was your week? Busy? Did everybody get their sitting done? We did the sits? Yeah. How is the sitting going? Do you fall asleep? So, if you're still falling asleep, increase the pace of your breathing. No. Yeah. You might have to sit up more, babe. I might force you to sit up a little bit more. She's kind of like she's in bed like this. Like this is her sitting position. Which is probably like not conducive. So you want to be vertical, in essence, but yeah. So if you are having trouble falling asleep, try to double up on the breathing. Like make it like, be here now be here, be here now be here, be here now be here. And do that for like maybe 5 of the 10 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So, what else? What else happened this week? Who had any experiences? And it's a lot to unpack. Remember in the beginning I said like, okay, pick one thing, right? And I knew somebody would pick one thing, but they would try to do everything. And I think that was April. Like, I think you're the one that I was like, pick one thing. And I don't know what you picked. Like, I don't know what you chose in the beginning. And you don't right. You don't even remember. So like there's, but then like what the universe gives you, and we'll go over this one in a couple weeks, but like, this concept of like, okay, what I'm experiencing right now is what's required, right? And I have to go through what's required. And so, all that stuff that's coming up, like that's what's going to get you to the next level, right? That's going to clear out the
fear. I think I wrote down fears.
Yeah.
And God, did I get it?
Right. Yeah.
Because that sadness, there was a fear of like, I feel like, this year is kicking my ass.
Yeah.
And then, it's just like, well, it's supposed to. Isn't supposed to be a cakewalk. It's
No.
supposed to kick your ass.
And
Life is supposed to kick your ass.
And we'll talk a lot about that today. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just get my ass kicked.
Right.
And life's like, here's your ass. Like,
Yep. Yep. We'll talk about that for sure. But yeah, when you go through those programmed patterns, right, especially with your family, right, because those are the most deeply ingrained programs that we have.
What did you say last week after class? If you think you're enlightened,
oh yeah, go spend a week with your mom and dad, right? Good Lord, if you ever want to see me lose my shit, have me go stay in my brother's house for a week. I will lose my shit. Like, that is just it. And they like, and I don't even like. So there's this awesome author that I love, and she says basically that like, when you get to the other side, like you think about it this way: when you get to the other side, and you're surrounded by the people, and your parents are there, it's gonna be almost like they are actors that took a role that they absolutely hated just to benefit you because they love you that much, right? They were like, I didn't want to play that person. Who wants to play that person, right? Like, this is the idiot, right? Like, and I knew that you would halfway love me, or you would wholly love me, but you would also halfway resent me your entire life, right? Like, why would I choose that role? But like, you're gonna get to the other side, and they're gonna be like, "You're welcome." Like, your turn, right? And then you're gonna have to go and like play some role for them. But those are the most deeply programmed patterns, right? And so those are the ones that are hard, like oftentimes hardest to see, right? That is like, because we've known it all our lives. it's hidden in plain sight, right? It's all over you, and then they're also the hardest to overcome, right? Because those are our MOs, those are our modus operandi. You know, those are the modes that we operate under, because they're so familiar. Literally, the word, right? Familiar. That's where they come from. So yeah, I've worked with a ton of, you know, inherited things that I've had to overcome. Attitudes, outlooks, behaviors, relationships, and relationships to money, right? Relationships to you know, loved ones like spouses, partners, relationships to work, relationships to food. You know, there's so many different layers that we get ingrained in ourselves in the first, you know, 15 years of our lives where we're not independent. We can't, I mean, some people may have been more independent than others, but for the most part, like, we were being coached and taught and ingrained with these patterns that now we see, like, wow, I always do this. And in doing so, I'm completely denying this vulnerability that I have. And it's like, oh shit, like, what do I do now? And we'll talk a little bit about that this week. Because so now we're going into like week 6. Let me just, yeah, so I guess to rephrase your question, right? You're asking that, like, if I have an emotion, right? And let's say that emotion is anger.
Well, the fear.
Or fear.
I'm talking specifically fear. Like
Right.
you're afraid of something happening.
Let's
that
say,
you don't want
yep.
happening.
Yeah.
But you need to process. On one hand,
Right.
it's kind of like you need to
Yep.
meditate over it to process.
Right.
And break that pattern.
Right.
On the other hand, you like
Yep.
keeping it in your head.
Yep.
Kind of like sends the wrong message to the universe. You know?
Sure.
Well, not the wrong message, but like sends that to be materializing essentially. Like
Yeah.
based on this connection between you and.
Right. And in my practice, I have a clear difference, right? And the clear difference is that when I'm processing an emotion, I'm really dismissing the message, right? I'm dismissing the event, right? If that event is like, you know, my paycheck got, or, you know, my manager or my paycheck, right? Like, I all of a sudden get triggered and I'm like angry, or I'm like blah, blah, blah. Or like, you know, if one of my family members had a medical incident and now it's completely changed their lives, right? And that's triggering all kinds of fear, right? Around, you know, their future, my future, what, right? Like losing them. What is my mom gonna do if, you know, they do lose them, right? Like all that stuff. I dismiss all of that. All of that circumstantial evidence is gone. I dismiss that right away.
How so?
Because I know that my learning and my evolvement is not going to come from engaging with that thought. It's going to come from engaging with that feeling, with that felt sensation.
So you basically sit there and process fear, regardless, like
Right. Because you skipped a
broken
week.
off from the source of that fear.
You skipped emotion is sensation, right? Emotion is sensation. So I'm not dealing with the mental, right? I'm not dealing with my thoughts around that, right? I want to dismiss that clear way, because my mind will wrap me up in all kinds of ways and get me down routes that I didn't even believe, just so it can, like, keep me in those patterns, because those patterns are safe, because I feel like I have control.
So that's the reaction.
So a reaction is, so let's back up, right? So I don't want to answer that right now. Can I finish where I was going? Cool. So when I get that, right, feeling, when I get that sensation, when I get that triggered, right? So is that what you're asking, Holly? Is that that being triggered? Right? So you get this sensation, you get this emotion, and all of a sudden, like, I fucking hate that person, right? They're an asshole. Why don't they ever consider me, right? Or like, you know,
What if something happens?
what if, right? What if? why me, right? Those are some great ones. Those are some classic ones, right? That we use. And so then like the mental rabbit hole goes down because it feels like if I shame somebody, if I blame somebody, if I save somebody, victim-victor mentality, then I have control again, right? So I go into this inauthenticity, I deny the emotion, I conjure up something else so that I can feel like I have control. We don't have control. We just don't. Like, it's just not gonna happen. We can think that we do all the time, right? We can, and when I go into like, the world exists within me, right? It's not what I think that brings me energy in the world. It's not what I mentally kind of repeat that brings me energy in the world. It's my vibration, right? And we'll talk about this actually next week, about how I cultivate energy, right? Not emotion. Right beneath emotion, at the source of emotion, is energy, is vibration, is in Sanskrit, is life force, is prana, right? That prana, that like, why does your heart beat, right? Why do seeds grow, right? Like those types of things where it's like, okay, that's some energetic woo-woo that's going on that not even science can really explain that well. So when I dismiss all of that and I get back to, okay, I'm not dealing with any of the content of the messaging, right? What I'm dealing with is that emotion arising within me. Why is that emotion arising within me, right? Where was that programmed? Where was that imprinted? Right? It's amazing, and we'll talk about this week. We're going to go into it after, once we answer this question, but it's amazing when I can go through that situation, right? And somebody fucked with my money, or I don't have enough money, or I can't pay my bills, or something like that, and I get heated, right? Versus like, if I've gone through that enough, I've seen that pattern, I've cultivated capacity, right? Then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I didn't get paid this week. That's fucked up.
Right.
Maybe I should call somebody. Maybe I should figure out what's going on, right?
It's true.
And it's like, you start to get away from, but in order to process it, like I don't go into all the mental stuff. I sit with that emotion and I sit with that energy and I just breathe with it and I see where it takes me. And it might show me things from my past. It might show me things about my present, right? It might show me patterns. It might not show me anything.
When you say show, is it again emotional something or mental?
No, it could be mental. It could be, it could be a vision, right? It could be a vision, like an image that arises. You might hear things, right? You might even get things that out in your world that show up very soon thereafter, right? So there's this aspect of like, okay, this emotion is arising within me, and okay, so I'm gonna stop, right? I think I've exercised that question, but this is the perfect lead-in for this week. So let's go through this week, and then we'll see if you still have more. Okay, cool. How are we doing? All right.